Hello and welcome to the Weeball Podcast. I'm Luke Cummins. Joining me, as always, is Tyler DeSena, and we are back for our college football show. Week number 6 has come and gone, and we are on to week 7. So we're going to talk a little bit. We got a little something different in the middle, and then, of course, our game of the week is coming at the end. But I think the first thing on the docket is the game everyone wants to talk about, the Red River rivalry. No longer a shootout because, but what a game. What a game.
Yeah, I mean, we both picked this game. You picked Texas, I picked Oklahoma, and like everything else, I was right and you were wrong.
Okay.
However, no, but on a serious note, I think this just shows that Oklahoma's defense is absolutely legit. I mean,
Yes.
they are I think the biggest thing was them getting turnovers. Quinn Ewers was 31 for 37, meaning he only threw 6 incompletions, but 2 of those incompletions were interceptions, which is just even a game that, without the interceptions looks good from Quinn Ewers. You're like, wow, they were still able to get 2 takeaways. And it was that opportunistic defense that got them this win because they only won by 4 points. I mean, it's a really fun Oklahoma team that now, has moved up. Texas is moving down. And, it's just another year where Texas was in the top 3 like a couple weeks ago. And now they're, most likely not going to make the playoffs. So it's just, you knew a loss like this could possibly come, but it coming now is just, it really hurts Texas and now puts Oklahoma in this playoff race where now they're the number 5 ranked team in the country.
Yeah, I mean, Dillon Gabriel played very well. I mean, he was only 23 for 38, which isn't great, but he had 285 yards, 113 rushing yards on 14
14
carries.
carries, which is just absolutely nuts.
Nuts, especially for a guy like Dillon Gabriel. But I really thought it was going to come down to quarterback play and which quarterback was better. Quinn Ewers was better. Obviously, he turned the ball over twice, but he was still a better quarterback. But
Yeah.
Oklahoma did enough to get it done. They've proved that they're a real SEC defense, which is obviously important with Venables going into next year, going into the SEC, having to make something happen starting next year. Like, they have to be good every year if they want to even have a chance, because you're going to be playing good teams in, week out. You're not going to get the Texas Techs or these type of teams. You're always going to be playing someone good except for Vandy. Um, it's really impressive because everyone knows Venables is a really good defensive coach, but he has that whole team bought in on a different level right now.
Yeah.
It's likely these two teams do play again in the championship, so that'll be interesting. But
Yeah. You could be looking at a Texas team playing spoiler to an Oklahoma team late in the season that could, keep moving up if other teams start to struggle. But I think the biggest part of this win for Oklahoma is just how good they've been in the post Lincoln Riley Oklahoma era. You were talking about Venables being such a good coach, and the fact that the entire just look of this team, their entire makeup has changed so much over the last couple of years, and now they've
so
become a
quickly.
defensive team, and now they're moving to the SEC, and they're still a really, really good team, and it's just crazy to see that everything moved so fast. They lost Caleb Williams so fast, and you were like, oh, this is the future of this team, Lincoln Riley, Caleb Williams. They lose both of those, and now, what is that, a little over a year later, they're 6-0 and looking the best that they have in a long time. So
Yeah,
really,
I mean,
really strong
it's
win for
nuts.
Oklahoma.
It is nuts. Obviously, Venables was clearly a lot of the reason why Clemson was very good, because now they're not very good and he's not there.
Oh yeah.
I always said that the guy did witchcraft because of how good those defensive were. It felt like he, was making deals with the devil to get his defense to the level it was at every week. And now he's doing it again with Oklahoma. The guy is unreal defensive mind, and he brought that to the Big 12, and he's going to bring it to the SEC, and it will be fun to watch them next year. Moving on, we're going to talk about another tightly contested game. Very close game. So close it went into 3 overtimes. And that would be the Arizona Wildcats versus the USC Trojans. This
Yeah.
wasn't great. I'll be real.
Yeah, it's just obviously it is a win for USC, but you're looking for them to take that step, and this just isn't that. I mean, like
Step in the wrong
Arizona,
direction.
unranked team that is now 3-3. Like this isn't a team that you're looking for USC to have to go to like triple overtime with. And now the biggest issue is just it proves to be USC's defense over and over again. Like when you give up 5 passing touchdowns and 300 yards on 25 attempts and then another 143 on the ground, like
35
just
attempts.
oh yeah, I mean 25 completions.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just this can't be how
Can't
you
have
win
it.
football games, and they're not going to be a sustainable team. And I guess we kind of knew that. Like we knew that this
Defense
defense
was
just in
bad.
the past has been really terrible, but now it looks even worse. And it sucks because it means that you're not going to see Caleb Williams in like a playoff scenario as much as we really do want to see that. And we kind of knew that going into the season, but this win, even though it is a win, just kind of cements that as like the reality that this team is going to need a defensive overall probably post this season.
Yeah, it's really not great when, like you said, you're getting thrashed in the run game and your probably top 10 pick in on the defensive side of the ball is a defensive tackle and he's not eligible till next year, obviously. But Bear Alexander was like null and void. Like he was not a factor at all. And that's a problem. Like that's a legit issue because Bear Alexander should be the difference maker on this team for that defense. And he should set the rest of the team up to play better. And he just got shut down by Arizona, who doesn't have a strong line by any means. But Caleb was
Yeah,
14 for 25, 291 and a touchdown. Obviously, he had 41 yards on the ground with 3 touchdowns, but he just
14
isn't taking the
completions
easy
for
stuff.
291 is so funny.
It's
14 completions
hilarious.
for 291 is so Caleb Williams because it's just like you had I guarantee you that could have been less and there would have been more effective plays to be made there. And it's just he doesn't take the easy stuff. And that's just like the number one thing you want to see from a quarterback who has as many strong physical traits as Caleb Williams does, and his ability to make plays out of structure and stuff. We've talked about it week in and week out. It is a weekly occurrence at this point. He has
It's
to get
worrisome.
better. It is very worrisome. Obviously, I mean, he's still the presumptive number one pick, and he's not nearly the number one problem on this team. I mean, the Alex Grinch defense is just atrocious that we
Bad.
keep talking about. And I mean, like, I think we could have probably figured that out based on how he was at Oklahoma. But like Caleb Williams, it as a draft podcast first, we definitely should. We're going to continue to address the fact that is something we want to see out of Caleb, despite the fact that he is such a supremely talented player.
It went from, hey, I want to see more of this. Like, I know you probably can do it, to
I need to
Caleb,
see
do
more of
it.
this.
Do it and do
Yes,
it now
please.
because it's concerning. Like, this is becoming a real problem. And even when he tries to take the small stuff, he's missing it. Like,
Yeah. What?
he missed multiple throws to the running backs, multiple throws short underneath to Taj Washington. Taj Washington did not look happy at certain points in this game. He ended up having 3 catches for 61 yards and an average of 20 yards a catch, but it wasn't, he could have had a 100-yard game. He could have had 7 catches, but he was getting missed. And I was like, that's not Caleb Williams. That's not the guy we saw. It's it is legit worrisome. This Arizona defense played out of its mind. Like they were really good, and I will give them credit for that, but it shouldn't matter that much. I mean,
Yeah.
Attention, fantasy football fanatics. As draft season approaches, don't neglect the most important draft pick of all, your game balls. We all know how injuries can ruin a season, so let Manscaped take care of that Reggie Bush of yours with their skin safe technology. That should guarantee you to have a smooth ride into the playoffs. The leaders in the below the waist grooming have created a championship lineup with their Performance Package 4.0, and it's time for you to do the same. Join the 9 million men around the world who trust Manscaped and get ready for kickoff by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping when you use code WEBALL. We all know that confidence is the biggest thing, whether it comes to recording a podcast, interviewing professional athletes, playing on the field, or even trimming below the waist. And for that last one, Manscaped has helped out tremendously with their Performance Package 4.0. Inside the Performance Package 4.0, you'll find the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, Performance boxer briefs, and even a travel bag. Slotted at quarterback, we've got the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer. This spaceship is here to guide you on your journey to trim your body, balls, and even your A gap. This 4th generation trimmer also features a cutting edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction on off switch that can engage in a travel lock, and is even waterproof. The Lawnmower 4.0 also has a 4000K LED spotlight, brighter than Bryce Young's future in the end zone. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker, the ultimate flex. Watch it run through your ear and nose hairs like Aaron Donald runs through to sack your favorite quarterback. The Weed Whacker is also waterproof and uses 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This ear and nose hair trimmer provides proprietary skin safe technology, which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs in those sensitive ear and nose holes. Don't forget to use the Crop Preserver ball deodorant and the Crop Reviver to help your little bench warmers be on their A game while feeling the sun's heat. Manscaped even threw in 2 free gifts to the Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. So who's the commissioner now? Get 20% off plus free shipping with code WEBALL at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code WEBALL, WEBALL, at manscaped.com. It's time to put the PP back in PPR and get a grip on your pigskin this season with Manscaped.
And I think, this is something that I'm labbing a little bit, but I think my comparison for Caleb Williams is not the Patrick Mahomes one that everyone has. And he kind of reminds me more so of a young Josh Allen, where it was so much hero ball and so much like, hey, I can just kind of run through anybody and make like a 50-yard pass, which Josh Allen still has those moments. But like, he reminds me so much of like a young Josh Allen. It's just like, hone it in, dial it back, hit your gimmies, and then you will become the top 3 quarterback in the NFL. And that's what we saw when Josh Allen is playing at his best. It's when he's within the timing of his offense and then can make those plays when needed rather than trying to do it every play. And it's just like we continue to say, we need to see more of it from Caleb.
Now let's talk about the other top quarterback. We're going to talk about Drake May because the Syracuse Orange are not a bad football team. I'll say that right now. They're not a bad football team. I don't think they're a great football team, but they're not a bad one. And this man, Drake May, made them look legitimately silly. This game is probably the best quarterback tape I've seen from anyone in this class so far. This game was ridiculous.
Drake May is just flat out ridiculous. I mean, he is any other quarterback class. We say that every year about a quarterback. It feels like every time there's a big time prospect. But this year, it's like any other year, Drake May is the number 1 pick. And you just don't doubt it at all. He's so smart, so cerebral, has a really strong arm. It's just the fact that it's just the fact that he doesn't have the legs that Caleb Williams has and isn't as freakish of an athlete. But man, he's such a good football player.
He's getting better with his playmaker moments, his hero ball moments. He's really
there's more out of structure passing from him. It's less bailing and a lot of that I felt like was him getting through his reads too quickly because the offensive line last year for UNC was horrible and this year they're playing a lot better. Yeah, and that's the biggest thing I think is Drake May actually can trust his O-line and get through his progressions, and you're seeing him just tear teams apart mentally, which is awesome. And now he's got Tez Walker back, and they got a fun stretch of the schedule coming up. And I think one of the things that we wanted to talk about was the fact that, hey, if UNC gets hot,
they are hot, first of all.
Saying if they get hot down, if they stay hot down the stretch, they
have Miami, who are ranked.
Miami's ranked.
Virginia.
Clemson.
They have Georgia Tech, Campbell, Duke, Clemson, NC State. Some good teams in there.
And then
if not so good teams.
If you beat the teams that you're supposed to beat and then maybe pull out a couple of those close ones, it's very possible that you're looking at UNC versus Florida State for the ACC championship. and one of those
A
teams
playoff spot.
one of those teams could be playing for a playoff spot, because it very much looks like you're going to see in the ACC. If the ACC has an undefeated team, that team is very likely making the playoffs. So if those two teams are undefeated going into the ACC championship game, you could be seeing one
Drake
of the
May.
best quarterbacks in the draft versus one of the most exciting teams in college football for a playoff spot. And that's just such an exciting hypothetical that even as a Florida State fan, I'm kind of rooting for NC State to go sweep the rest of their games just so I can watch that.
Yeah, it's as long as we don't have any conference cannibalism in the
Which
ACC.
we are probably bound to. Let's be
Oh
honest.
yeah, I mean we're about to have it in the
friendly.
Pac-12. It's about to happen
Yeah,
in the Pac-12. We're gonna
it's
get to
already
that later.
starting.
We're gonna get to
Yeah.
that later. But there's one more team that I feel the need to talk about. Because this team has had a really, really, really big resurgence. Their defense has been unbelievable, but now the offense has arrived. And the big reason for that is a man who wears number 3, the Alabama Crimson Tide, Jermaine Burton, man. Jermaine Burton looked like a first-round draft pick this week. Some of the craziest tape of a wide receiver this year. 9 catches, almost 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Bond, who will be a top receiver next year, had 7 catches for 96 yards. They threw the ball 33 times after throwing it 13 last week. And you're like, oh, where'd this come from? Came from Jalen Milroe actually hitting his shots and hitting the close stuff and hitting the easy stuff, which is something that's been a huge, huge, huge problem. Jalen Milroe, probably one of the most prolific running quarterbacks in the upper
he's
echelon of college
freakish.
football.
Yeah, he's
Negative
awesome when it comes
31
to
rushing yards.
I have to say, I think we brought it up last week. There is possibly nothing worse in all of sports than college football factoring in sacks to rushing yards.
I hate
it. It is potentially the worst pot. The NFL does it as it affects your team passing yards, but not the player passing yards, and it doesn't affect player yards in any way. Why is college football not switched to this? It's like, why, when I look at the stat sheet, I have to see Spencer Rattler negative 100 rushing yards, and it's like, I know that he didn't just run backwards on purpose. Like,
it's bad, man.
It's so awful.
But Caleb Downs on the defensive side of the ball, I said all damn offseason that Caleb Downs will be the difference maker for this Alabama team. He had a pick that basically sealed the win. But Kool-Aid was really good. Tim Keegan, big number 96, Tim Keegan, deserves his flowers. Tim Keegan played like an NFL player this week, and I think we're going to see a lot more of that from him. His leverage was crazy. His pad level was lower than it's ever been in his career. Like, he was making moves against a pretty good offensive line. Justin Boyke also deserves that credit. The middle of that defensive line came alive and let the outside guys, Dallas Turner and Chris Braswell, work for once, and it was awesome. Also, Chris Braswell blocked a field goal, caught it off one bounce and ran 100 yards. Got called back because of Dallas Turner, but whatever. But Alabama's playing like a playoff team all of a sudden.
Yeah, and all they had to do was get consistent quarterback play. And if Milroe is hitting the easy stuff with how talented that roster is, it's scary hours in the SEC. That's all we're gonna say on that. What's up next on as far as?
All right, this is our little fun thing that we wanted to do. I had a hypothetical that I came to one Tyler DeSena with before this podcast. You were down 4 points. You have the ball on your own 10-yard line. You got to go 90 yards in 2 minutes with one timeout to win the football game. Ranked opponent away. Who are you choosing to be your quarterback out of the draft eligible quarterbacks?
Now, you saying this, the supporting cast remains the same no matter who you pick. It's a neutral situation.
Yes.
And I know this sounds wild, but I don't think it's that crazy of an opinion to say that Shedeur Sanders is the guy you would pick, only because he's been in multiple clutch situations throughout this season and has been just flat out outstanding in them. And I don't think there's a quarterback that I trust to just straight up not throw incompletions more than Shedeur Sanders. Like, the dude, there is a whole narrative on social media right now from people who are not watching the games saying that he's taking sacks to not affect his incompletions. And the reason they're saying this is not because they're right, because they're not right at all. It's because he just doesn't throw incompletions. Like
Yeah.
you had his throwaway stat, right? You said he was top
Yes.
15 in the country, right?
He has the 13th most throwaways of any Power 5 quarterback, which completely disproves this narrative that he's not throwing the ball away at all. Like he
And
is throwing the ball away. He's taking care of the football.
And he's still one of the most accurate passers in the country when it comes to, I mean, I know completion percentage isn't the total like accuracy number, but the dude does not miss throws, like just barely at all. And I think my biggest thing would be, can you just hit chunk plays? And like their defenses are probably in a 2-minute situation going to give you plays over the middle. I'm going to say it. I'm taking Shedeur Sanders.
Okay. I am not taking Caleb Williams. I will tell you that much. After this week, I'm not taking Quinn Ewers. Definitely not taking Bo Nix, and I'm not taking Michael Penix just because I haven't seen him in that situation very often.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels also not happening. Spencer Rattler, sorry, pal. Love you. Jordan Travis, no. It is between Drake May and Shedeur Sanders. Like, I think those are the options. I think you pick one of those two. Because Drake May has done it before as well. I trust him to take care of the ball more than probably any quarterback in the nation. Shedeur, that same thing. They both have that little bit of playmaker in them. And behind solid O-lines with decent wide receivers, I trust them to move the ball down the field at a clip unlike anyone else. So I probably, just based off, I think he's purely more talented at this point, I'm probably taking Drake May, but it is close. And I think
it's neck and neck. And it's like, I really don't think it's crazy to say
Shedeur.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I would, like, I'm picking Shedeur Sanders, and I knew coming into this that you were probably going to take Drake May, and I really wanted to give Shedeur Sanders a shout out. But there really are two quarterbacks that are like very close to equal based on who you would choose in this situation. And I think that's just what makes college football so much fun this season, and at least draft, scouting so much fun this season. Assuming that Shedeur Sanders does come out, which I think by the end of the year it will probably be him coming out as opposed to staying, just because I don't think his draft can really rise much more than it already has, especially if he continues the way he's been playing all year. It's just crazy to say that we have those two guys who are just so smart. And then we also just have like this athletic freak who's probably going number one. Like, this is just such an awesome quarterback class to watch.
Now, folks, it is time for our pick of the week. 2 games, 2 picks each. Tyler, I'm going to take the reins. I'm going to go first because I'm taking the gimme this week. I am picking Washington, Oregon. 7-8. Basically a spot in the conference championship if you can beat USC on the line here. And you're 60% of the way to a playoff spot if you win this game. That's what it feels like at this moment. Now, there's a chance no Pac-12 team makes the playoffs, but that is a song for another time.
And we kind of did talk about it a little bit here, that is very likely to happen. You keep going though.
A little bit of conference cannibalism, as we like to say. If you win this game, you can beat USC, you're going to the playoff. But I think Washington just does a lot of things better. I think this is the best pass rush Oregon's faced so far. I mean, no, it is without a doubt the best pass rush Oregon's faced this far. There's no question about it. Washington, they've beaten really nobody. Both these teams haven't beaten anyone. So it's a little weird. I just trust the talent and the coaching more. Dan Lanning's going to try his best to get another clip in the locker room, like that Colorado speech. Whatever. I'm picking Washington.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea. Like, this game feels very weird to me because it feels like it could be a very close, fun game. But because these teams haven't really played anybody, it also just feels like it could be a blowout either way, and it wouldn't shock us. But maybe I'm just being a little bit contradictory here, just to like whatever you say, because, it's more fun to let each team get at least one pick here. But I'm going to go with Oregon. it's a gut feeling. Do I really have that much rationale behind it besides the fact that the Oregon defense has played really well this year? No. However, I'm still going with Oregon. I think it's going to be a fun game. I hope it's going to be close. And yeah, like I said, I'm going with the Oregon Ducks.
Just
At
it's at Washington too, so that's kind of why I'm leaning a little bit.
yeah,
I don't know if I'm taking them -3 with a 67 over under, but a little bit of the degenerate gambler in me coming out there. Sorry about that, folks. I'm picking Washington. Tyler, it is your turn to make your pick of the week, and we can get picking.
we've talked a lot about USC this podcast, and I'm talking about USC again. So if you're a USC fan, I don't know whether you should cover your ears or keep listening. However, I'm picking for my game of the week, Notre Dame versus USC. I think this just has an opportunity to be a really fun game. I think there's more NFL draft implications and probably playoff implications in your game. But in this game, I just feel like it has the potential to be the best game that we see all week, just because of the fact that Notre Dame can run the football and USC can't stop a nosebleed right now, but they also have Caleb Williams, who's just, absolutely awesome, obviously. So I think it's going to be a really fun game. But with that being said, we just saw what Arizona did to USC. And I think that when you take that and you change like that to the Notre Dame run game, Joe Alt and Audric Estime, it's probably going to be a big day for their ground game. So I am going to go with Notre Dame. I think, obviously that's a bit of a shock to, I think, a lot of people because, USC is a higher rank, Notre Dame just coming off a loss, but this feels like the kind of game that Notre Dame being so physical up front and just being able to pound the rock could come away with. And I'm going to pick the Fighting Irish.
I am concerned about, I really like this Notre Dame pick. I think Notre Dame might be my pick. But they've come off of 1, 2, 3 super emotional, hard-fought games in a row. And that scares me a little bit. I do worry about teams being just drained from playing ranked teams. Number 6, 17, 25, just in a row. Bang, bang, bang. And losing 2 of those, especially losing at Louisville last weekend, almost losing at Duke the week before that. You were so close to having 3 straight ranked losses. It's scary hours. And I think they might come out a little too aggressive and end up messing it up. But I think Estime is just too much of a dog for this USC
built
team.
He's built like a 1980s linebacker.
Bro.
He's built different. He should be wearing the big neck brace and pads.
The neck roll.
He should be wearing the neck roll, the highest shoulder pads he can find. He is already the most intimidating man at running back that we've seen in a very long time. And then putting that up against the Alex Grinch USC defense just does not sound like fun for that defense at all.
All right. Well, there you have it, folks. I'm picking Notre Dame. Tyler's picking Notre Dame. I'm picking Washington. He is picking Oregon. I can tie it up, make this a nice little 2-2 series or 3-3 series we got here. No, I don't know. I'm bad at math. 2-2. We would both
we'll
have
figure
one
out the math
win.
come next time.
Don't worry about it. You'll know who's winning. I'm Luke Crumich. That is Tyler DeSena. This has been the Weeball Podcast. We thank you for listening. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that good. And we will see you when our NFL show comes out next week on Tuesday. Peace.